Hi, how you doing? Me again, Justin, and today we're going to run through Basket Case by Greenday. We're not only just going to show you how to play the actual tune, but I'm going to show you all of the techniques that you need to be able to play the song properly. You probably want to go to my website, which is www.JustinGuitar.com, where you can download the PDF files, which will explain the power chords lesson, the root notes, all the things, the palm muting, all of the stuff that we're going to do in the lesson today. First of all, I'd like to explain that I think that the song's actually performed in the key of E, and he's detuned his guitar, but we're going to play it and learn it in the key of E flat. It works completely fine. It means that you can play along with the record without having to detune. The only time on the record you hear it is right at the end he plays a low E chord. So as far as I know, nearly everyone plays it in E flat, so we're going to do it in that key. If you really want to be fussy, you can detune your guitar and move everything up by 1 fret, but it's not really a big deal. What we're going to start off with is going through now all of the different chords that you need to play the tune. They're all power chords, so I'm going to get the Jedi Master on the camera there to do a focus up on my left hand, and I'll run through all of the chords with you now, and then after that we'll go through and I'll show you the right hand techniques, which is this palm muting idea if you haven't done that before. So over to the left hand please, Jed. Okay, so for the left hand power chords, the very first chord in this is an E flat power chord. Now power chords are always played the same way. We use our first finger on the root note. Now the root note is the name of the chord. So this note here is the 5th string on the 6th fret. So that note there, this one here, is the note E flat, and that's where the E flat power chord gets its name from. Now the shape is always that first finger there, 3rd finger on the next string, and 4th finger just underneath it there. Now what's really important here is that the strings that you're not playing are muted, so the tip of your first finger has to touch the 6th string here. If you don't, particularly on this chord, you get this really horrible chord. So it's really important that the first finger's touching that string there, and also the flat of your first finger also touches those top 2 strings, or any of the remaining thin strings, to make sure they're muted as well, just in case you accidentally play them. There's a whole lesson on the website on power chords, so go and check that out and check out the root notes of these chords as we go through them. So the chords in the in the verse sequence are here: E flat for the start off with. You have then it moves over to here to B flat again. This is the note B flat. That's the root note. There. Do you have the time? Now it moves down to a C chord down here at the 3rd fret, 5th string root. To listen to me. Then over to a G, then up 1 fret to A flat, but nothing and E flat, everything all at B flat. And it runs that whole sequence again. I am one of those melodramatic fools, you run into the bone, no doubt about it. So that's the main verse sequence. Now what I'm calling the chorus now goes back to an A flat chord here at the 4th fret, 6th string root, A flat. Sometimes I E flat myself the E flat, and again, sometimes my mind plays tricks on me. Same sequence again, it all keeps adding up. And now here's where the band comes in, and we have this big 1 hits on each one: E flat, D flat, C flat. Then jumps over to A flat. I'm not just paranoid. No, I'm just... Now we're at the break part. Now, we already found out that we had C power chord down here in the verses. There's also, you can hear that the same chord, here this C, is also found here at the 8th fret on the 6th string. It's exactly the same chord. And for the little break part, we prefer to use C down here. So we'd have this... Instead of having to jump, which is just a silly way of doing it. Now this is one thing, learning from tabs, it's hard sometimes to tell what position you should play in. A little bit of logic will tell you, so get into the habit of figuring it out if you can. So that break part is E flat, B flat, C and B flat. Then we're back into the verse again. It's exactly the same chord sequence as before. You use a slightly less palm mute, but we'll go through that in a sec. Back into the break. there's one other little bit at the end of the second break after that, the passion to control, so you better hold. That part is just going A flat to B flat. Then the instrumental section is exactly the same as the verse sequence again, but just without a vocal. Then it does a chorus, and the very last little section we've got here is E flat, C, A flat, E flat, B, E flat, C, A flat, E flat, B, and then the very end, A flat, E flat, B flat. So that takes care of all our left hand fingerings. Now we're moving over to the right hand to look at palm mute. Okay, so here we are at the right hand. Now the thing that we're checking out now is the right hand palm muting. Now, when you play a power chord regularly, you're just plucking all the strings without any hand touching the strings. To get palm mute, you use this outside part of your hand and you just rest it very lightly on the strings there. Well, it doesn't have to be really lightly, but you're going to experiment with that yourself in a sec. If your hand's a little bit too far back from the bridge and your hand's not touching the strings, you won't get any mute. If it's too far forward, you just get clicky sound. So you have to experiment a little bit by generally starting it on the strings. You can hear that gradually you'll get to a point where you can hear the chord come out clearly, but it's kind of muted. So instead of this sound, you get a lot tighter sound. It sits with rock guitar really, really well, especially for power chords. It's used most of the time. In this tune, he's starting off with a power chord like this, but he lifts off the mute in order to get an accent. So you get this lift off, lift off, off. So you can see it's just lifting up. That's the technique that he's using in order to get an accent. He's lifting off the hand and then putting the palm mute back down to you. It's definitely worth making a little exercise of that and practicing getting your dampening on and off. Now the other technique that he uses quite a lot is accent passages. So he'll hold the same chord down, keep the palm mute on, but pluck some harder and further than others. So you might just be playing this one string really here. So at that point I'm just hitting that fifth string and then occasionally brushing right across the three strings of the power chord to get an accent. So you get... So I'm keeping the palm mute on for most of that. So just there's a bit where he stops on the B flat at the first time where he's going... And you can hear in that section he's holding the mute all of the way. Yeah, it's all down picks this song, no up picks involved really. So that's the main section for this palm mute. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole, exactly what pattern he uses where, because you've got ears, and if you listen to the record, you should be able to figure it out for yourself. It's definitely worth learning to listen to stuff. So you've got the technique, you know how to make the sound, listen to the record and you'll be able to replicate that sound and make it sound really cool. Well, that was Basket Case. I'd strongly recommend that you get into learning where your root notes are for your power chords. That lesson is found on the website, so I'll tell you again, it's www.JustinGuitar.com. Now on the site you'll find the lesson on power chords, you'll find a lesson on palm muting and also on accent passages, and there's some exercises to practice for that as well. Definitely worth getting into. Once you've got it down, you'll find a whole load of the Greenday tunes, American Idiot and all of those use exactly the same techniques. So hopefully with the knowledge that you'll get from playing your power chords, you'll be rocking on those tunes too. So have a good one, take care, I'll see you next time, bye.